Works of fantasy have an excellent track record for illustrating and helping us understand human morality. I think this again proves true in Netflix's latest smash hit, K-Pop Demon Hunters. It's unsurprising, with its explicit use of religious figures like demons, that it has generated a lot of strong opinions in terms of the lessons it presents, especially among religious people. But I think that this film stands in a long line of fantasy works that in many ways aligns even with an explicitly religious moral framework. And I found this particularly true in its portrayal of evil and sin. On a macro level, we learn in the opening of K-Pop Demon Hunters that the moral lives of the characters reflect their participation in a greater cosmic story. On one side, we have the demons working on behalf of the cosmic antagonist, Gui Ma. And then there's the Huntrix, who are the latest heroes on the front lines in an effort to maintain the Han Moon, the protective spiritual force of good. This current conflict is just one more iteration of a more expansive story. We can make endless connections to other works here. The moral framework of The Lord of the Rings reflects the ancient conflict of the Valar and Morgoth. We have the deep magic from before the dawn of time in the Chronicles of Narnia, or the greater force of dark magic in Harry Potter. There's the light versus the dark side in Star Wars. Think too of classic epics in which our world reflects cosmic battles between titans or gods. It's such a common idea in stories from any age that our individual moral choices somehow reflect and even contribute to a moral universal cosmic conflict. Also on a macro level, we see evil portrayed not just as a force that affects individuals, but as a sickness that infects humanity collectively, corrupting what is good and contributing to the fallen state of our world. The work of the demons in K-Pop Demon Hunter is aimed at consuming the earth, with evil seeping into and distorting not only human desires, but also their culture and their world. We might connect this, for example, to the perpetual winter in Narnia, an excellent symbol of sin's pervasive effects.
It's been a long winter.
We may think of the spreading forces of chaos in The Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter. We might even think of how Disney movies have depicted the broader effects of human wrongdoing. The castle's curse in Beauty and the Beast, the blight in Moana, or the Droon in Raya and the Last Dragon. We seem to have a sense that there is some connection between humanity's evil choices and the broader forces of evil and chaos we see in the world every day. A quick side note, but this actually reflects a very Christian understanding of sin, which is unfortunately often regarded in a narrow, moralistic way that focuses on individual human mistakes. But we see sin being described in the Bible as a force crouching at the door in the story of Cain, and the devil being described as a prowling lion. The Apostle Paul wrote that creation itself is in bondage and subject to futility. Some of the earliest church fathers wrote extensively on the full effects of sin in this way. Alright, it's time to talk about soda pop. When it comes to evil or sin on an individual level, I think K-Pop Demon Hunters does many things right. The whole idea of the demon's strategy to deceive people by masquerading as something that is attractive and even beloved by the culture, in this case a K-pop band, rings very true.
Oh yeah,
totally gonna work,
totally
100%.
We see the Saja boys burst onto the scene, singing about something that tastes so sweet to people who are empty. Soda pop becomes a perfect metaphor. As the song goes, the sweetness promises to satisfy every need of their listeners. Yet with every sip, or with every new bid for attention and allegiance, they leave their audience wanting more and more. The demon hunters, of course, immediately see through this supposed sweetness, for the poison it truly is. I can't help but think of the ring of power here, with its alluring deception able to stay shrouded for so long.
Don't tempt me, Frodo!
The White Witch's Turkish delights are another obvious connection, with their tempting sweetness that never fully satisfies Edmund. There's deep truth here. Just ask anyone who has struggled with addiction. How often does sin disguise itself as harmless fun at first? How often do we deceive ourselves about the true cost of our continued pursuits of pleasure? This also makes me confused as some of the most negative, explicitly religious takes on the film. Yes, the demons are portrayed as initially attractive. Yes, they sing catchy songs and capture people's attention as a way of corrupting them. But does this not lend itself to some great lessons on the nature of sin itself? Claiming that the film glamorizes the demonic is a bit short-sighted, in my opinion. The next good move KPop Demon Hunters makes is to point out the connection between sin and shame.
I know our faults and fears must never be seen.
I felt like my thoughts and my lyrics and all my notebooks were just useless. And
Gui Ma manipulates humans by exploiting insecurities, not being good enough, not being recognized. Much like Satan in the Garden of Eden, the demons whisper lies of empowerment and then prey on shame. Jinu's near fall comes partly from his insecurity and fear of being overlooked. Rumi's inner voices taunt her weakness, this demonic temptation being framed as an internal dialogue with shame.
Yours are a reminder, too, of a shame of your own.
And of course, the visible signs of this inner darkness, the patterns on her skin, the loss of her voice, play an important role too. Looking to other stories, we might think of the toxic effects of shame on Snape in Harry Potter, or the shame of Gollum or Boromir in The Lord of the Rings, the shame of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars. In all of these cases, shame is a major factor in discouraging any kind of healing. And since repentance, turning away from sin, is the path of redemption, it's easy to see why forces of evil may delight in using shame to prevent this.
One of the hunters bears my mark.
This means she has shame. I'll find out what it is, and we can use it to destroy her and the hunters for good.
And finally, we arrive at the end result of human sin, which I think is played out quite well as we follow the demonic Saja boys from Soda Pop to their performance of Your Idol at the end. After gathering attention, or worship we might say, through each sip of deception, the true nature of the demons and sin itself is revealed. They sing that they want their audience to keep their pain and shame out of sight, while explicitly saying that they love their sins. They promise them freedom, but plainly state that they are here for their souls. There's the obvious interplay between a cultural idol and the religious concept of idolatry going on. The Grim Reaper attire of the band during the song is also spot on. The evil that the demons have loosed on the world leads inevitably to destruction. And thinking one last time about other stories, what does the temptation of the ring's corrupting power do to Gollum and nearly to Frodo? Where does Anakin's continued embrace of the dark side lead? What do Voldemort's evil actions and twisted quest for power do to his soul? Spiritual death is always the end of the road that begins with giving ourselves over to temptation, allowing evil to consume us with every sip, and in the words of the Latin chanting of the Saja boys, returning us to ashes in the end. And after all that, we're left with the film's conclusion and the redemptive ending of the protagonist Rumi. And I think it's fair to wonder how well this maps onto a religious framework. Is the climactic final song a scene of genuine confession and communion? Or does it lean too heavily into a narrative of self-empowerment and misplace the role of shame and personal brokenness? Does the sacrifice and redemption of the demon Jinu muddy the waters of the film's messages too much? These are good questions, and feel free to let me know in the comments.